October 29th.
Backlot of Universal Studios, Orlando, Florida. Karate Combat's back.
Scrivers versus Souza.
Edgar Scrivers is a monster.
The lightweight division should be very, very afraid.
He wears down his opponents.
He annihilates people.
I'm the greatest fighter ever. It feels right that I'm a champion.
But the greats fail, too.
The first champion in Karate Combat to be dethroned.
I'm gonna come back even stronger.
You're gonna see me coming for hunting.
This Bruno kid is such a complete martial artist.
Pretty much raised by the Machida family.
He's been an LFA champion.
Victorious in his debut.
I'm coming to take over.
We all make mistakes, but I know I can beat everybody.
He never faced nothing like me.
It doesn't matter. He's just the next man in the line.
All right, I'm here with Rob, the founder of Karate Combat, and I just want to ask him a few questions to kick this thing off. So, Rob, what made you want to start this league?
Well, I've always been a huge fan of combat sports, and I think a lot of people saw what the UFC did and they tried to copy it. From my perspective, I've always been more interested in stand-up fighting, striking, fast action.
Yeah.
And you know, to tell you the truth, karate was going to the Olympics, but it was just a point fighting version of the sport.
Okay.
So we wanted to create an all-inclusive striking league to bring the best strikers from all disciplines. And the best rule set for that is actually the karate rule set. It's very flexible. And when we developed the league 4 years ago, we went all the way out. So our viewers are, you know, generally younger, and we built everything from the ground up for them. So that's how you see in our virtual background, you know, we shoot this in Unreal Engine, and everything we add just really makes it an exciting new and sport that's basically built for the younger generation, and that's why we've had such explosive growth over the past 4 years.
Well, as a fight fan who's been watching fights from the 1990s, it really does make sense, and I watched some of your fights and I think they're incredible. So can you tell us about this karate token?
So I've always been a big fan of crypto, and obviously I run a sports league, and you know, I've always been thinking of ways to combine the two, and we finally feel like we found the killer application that's going to revolutionize sports. So what we do, the best way is to describe the process. So we have a huge base of fans, and they might not even know this is all powered on crypto rails. So what happens is we send a link to one of our fans, claim 1,000 karate tokens. They then go on an app, they download the app, and it's very simple. They say, hey, look, there's a fight coming up, and I can pick different fighters to win. So they can vote on the fighter they think they're going to win or their favorite fighter. If he wins, they get more tokens. If he loses, they don't lose anything.
Okay.
So it's not regulated gaming, but it allows our fans to have a real vested interest in the outcome of a fight. So we're really excited about that, and we think it'll accelerate our growth even further.
All right, that's fantastic from a gamification of your fight standpoint. But tell us about the governance. Tell us about your DAO.
So when you look at a number of the DAOs, I think the big problem that they have is participation is pretty low. You know, a lot of parts of it work, but the question is what is a good application? We saw what they did in GameFi, and we said, hey, look, this is pretty good, but a lot of what the DAO allows you to do applies more to sports. You know, do people really want to vote on a staking protocol? It's hard to get people as involved. But I can promise you, our fans are actually absolutely rabid about voting on who's going to fight who. You know, they care a lot about, you know, what fighters we're going to sign. So the DAO is a perfect community to allow them to help with those decisions.
Sure. Makes complete sense. You're launching that in December of this year, right?
Yep, early December.
Okay, sounds good. I want to talk to Boss Rutan. He's an MMA legend, and we'll get to him next. All right, well, first of all, Boss, thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate you taking some time. I guess the main thing that I want to ask you about, I've watched some of these fights. It's really exciting. What do you think about this rule set for making entertaining fights?
I think it's everything, you know, and especially I started as karate, as I mentioned there, and then I go all the way back. So when they called me if I wanted to be involved in this, you know, as an ambassador, I go, well, sign me up. It brings me back to karate.
Sure.
And the style that they chose is, we have Olympic level karateka, right? And they're fighting here full contact because deep down inside they all want to fight full contact. They want to knock people out.
Yeah.
So now the rule set that we have here is also super exciting. We have the pit, of course, the pit with the 45-degree angle walls, where you get that you get used to your advantage. You get used to escape your opponent. You get used to run up and make flying kicks, flying knees, because knees are allowed now as well. That's great. The fighting style is in such a way that they allow kicks, but only below the knee. And then, of course, not to the thighs, to the body, and the rest everywhere else. And they do that because in the fights there's a little bit of more of a distance, and it shows the people at home the beautiful techniques of karate.
Sure. So now, of course, karate is the main focus, but there's kickboxers here. Can other strikers have success in this fight game?
Oh, for sure. You know, I think right now what they focus on is like having karatekas with karate backgrounds, like real black belts. So they have them in here. But I believe that they already was talking about like in the future they will open it up, and then anybody, kickboxers, Thai boxers, whatever, as long as they play by these rules, can come in and fight these great guys here.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for taking some time. I appreciate it.
Boom. Godspeed.
Oh, okay, guys. Okay. There. Oh, you serious, dude? There. All right, everybody, can I have your attention? Listen up. Karate Combat is the new striking league taking over combat sports. Real fights, real stories, real knockouts. And boy, this upcoming December, Karate Combat is giving the whole league to its fans. Karate Combat is issuing a token that will govern the league. Yes, I know, of course, you've seen these tokens, but trust me, this is completely different. Because Karate Combat will have no owners, no hidden strings, nothing. Just the karate token. Oh, come on, man, not you again. Go here. Ooh, get that head up. Stay down. People. But wait, there's more. Check out our new app. Pick a fighter, and if that fighter wins, you win more tokens, meaning more of the league goes to you. Well, what do you all think? All right. My work is done here. Go to karate.com/airdrop for more information.
All right, hey everyone. I'm Robert Bryan, founder of Karate Combat. Got Samuel Erickson, one of our top fighters, bringing in from HBAR and Dojo. So follow me. We're going to show you how it works behind the scenes. So this is our camera setup. We've got a Techno train. The matches are shot with cinematic cameras. We're the first shoot to use 7 cameras live with camera tracking. You can, as we walk into the set, you guys can see, we have practical set elements over here. This is where everyone watches the fight. And we have it mixed in with the virtual world. So you can see the big screen in the back. That's done all through Unreal Engine. The screen actually changes and is rendered live depending on which camera that we're using at the time shooting it. This is our Karate Combat pit. Probably seen this online before in a lot of our highlights. We've got some of the fighters right now testing it out, getting ready for their fights tomorrow. I'll open it up to you guys for any questions.
Sure.
And Samuel here is going to tell us about what it's like fighting the pit and how the rule set is different from some of the other rule sets they've seen out there, MMA and boxing.
Yeah, I would say the biggest difference is, of course, the arena, like the setup of it. Because, as everyone knows, a cage, there is a cage, and there is at some point you can't go any further. Like you get stopped at the cage wall. So here, you see that they are declining here. That means that you can use these walls. You can run on these walls. You can jump up on them, and the biggest difference is also, as long as your back is against the decline wall, you'll count as standing. Okay. So the fight keeps going, right? Yeah. So it's just one of these things that I know a lot of people that comes from MMA, I wouldn't say struggle with, but it may not seem as a big difference, but it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I just asked a few guys that came from the MMA world, and they said, yeah, it's a big, because they're used to kind of lean back on the cage, and from there they can do something. Here they can't really do that, because if they lean too much, they will slip down. Yeah. And then they're on the ground, and that's not good. And if they keep themselves on the wall, they just keep being, kicked and punched and whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest difference, I would say.
As a spectator, it's dope because there's no bad seats in the house.
That's what I was going to say.
And also the fight keeps
everything.
going, right?
Yeah.
The fight keeps going around. So wherever, doesn't matter if they're in that corner or that corner, they will need to keep on fighting. And that guy with his back on the decline wall, he needs to do something. Otherwise, he will risk to be TKO'd or get knocked out. So that would be the biggest difference, I would say, from MMA and boxing and Muay Thai as well, because the ring, they also get stopped. They can't, stay in the ropes and just wait for how long.
Yeah, it's a real disadvantage when you get on that.
Yeah, sure. It's different techniques. I mean,
there's no
with
rope
a new environment. Yeah, with a new environment, you have to adapt. So you're going to create techniques specifically for this type of environment. which is cool because like I remember the first time I ever saw anything like this was Frank Shamrock did a event years back called Shootbox, and I think he only did like one event, and it was like this recessed pit like that. Then after that, you saw it in World Combat League, but it was a bowl, but it was still recessed, right? And then now you get to see it here, and it's like an evolution, I think, of a ring. It's really dope.
It is.
Because, I mean, bouncing off a cage, you know, like you might accidentally get a toe caught in that bad boy, you know, that doesn't feel good. But here, you can bounce off anywhere you want.
Yeah, I would also say why this is a good thing for this organization is also since they, like in MMA, it's a lot of like jiu-jitsu and wrestling that you can use against the cage. If you're a grappler, if you're a wrestler, and you feel that your stand-up game isn't good, you get beat up a lot. You can push him against the cage, and from there you can kind of get him stuck. You can take him down. You can hold him against the cage. In karate combat rules, we don't do that. So you can slip people, you can throw people, but on the ground it's 5-second rule. So you can punch, but if you don't knock this guy out, the judge will just stand you up again.
Sure.
So so again the fight keeps going. So that for me personally, that's what I like to do, and that's what I like to watch, because it's not that if you're on the ground, you can do up kicks and stuff, but mainly, most of the times, if you don't get knocked down, it's not that big of a risk. You get knocked out from a guy that is ground and pounding you if you are fully aware of what's happening.
I do have a question for you though. So how do you prepare to fight in something like this? Like during your training camps or whatnot? Like it's not like you just have one of these laying around.
I mean, some people actually, I've seen some fighters, they build this.
Oh, like in their gym?
At home or in their gym. I don't. But I mean, it's very hard to kind of get this. But I mean, if you have the skills to build one, or if you know people that can, I mean, that's great for you. But I think the majority of fighters doesn't. They just train in a cage or on a flat floor or in a ring, and then when you're here, like these guys are doing now, just trying to get a sense of how it feels to be inside and the distance. Like I said, I've asked some people, and they are like surprised how it's how it feels to just be not laying down and not standing up, but still be able to fight. How is that?
Well, I'll say it looks like it's designed for sport, right? Where it's not a gimmick.
No.
So the cage is a gimmick, right? Let's not kid ourselves. But this is designed for a sport, right? A boxing ring was designed, 150 years ago or whatever it was, right? So it hasn't really evolved since then. So it's an innovation.
I actually think that jiu-jitsu will probably start taking over with stuff like this, from like a recessed pit, because a lot of times now it's either like on the floor, which isn't bad, but then you have a hard time seeing through people, and then or it's like in a cage, or it's on an elevated platform, but then it can be still difficult to see. I mean, the only thing that would make this even better, which I know is not possible, but maybe one day, is if it was just sunk down all the way into the floor. Then like an old school arena, you know, which is kind of how everything's set up here with like kind of like if you're sitting up here as a spectator, you can see directly down. It's very Coliseum. What it feels like, very Coliseum.
That makes sense.
Didn't you have one of the first events? You had wasn't it in where you had like people up on the balconies in like a big temple?
We did one in South Beach. We did one in South Beach with containers. We've done top floor of the World Trade Center. We had an event. We had the Acropolis in Greece. We had an event.
Yeah, that one.
And even with all the exotic locations, it seems like the fans prefer the virtual world more. So we've kind of come back to this, and this is probably what we'll do for the most part coming forward. But we have a few exotic locations next year again, so it should be exciting.
We got any hints? Any hints?
Probably in some islands. We'll put it that.
Oh snap!
So
okay.
Get some water views.
What made you want to start all of this? I mean, this is a big production. I mean, like that wall alone probably costs more than probably 18. If I had built 18 of my own houses, that wall right there is, you know.
Well, I think a big difference is, people are so overwhelmed with all the MMA action they have right now. There's a fight on every night. You've got local promotions. You've got the UFC that's probably going to win or winner takes all market, and then you've got another sort of leagues with the exact same rule set with fighters that essentially aren't as good. What we wanted to do was do something that was completely new. something fresh and more exciting in terms of the action and visually as well. And I think that's what we've accomplished. A lot of longtime MMA fans, they said, man, this reminds me of, UFC 1. When two guys walked out and it was like blood sport. You had no idea what was going to happen. You didn't even know if it was real or not. And I think that's what we've created. The fans get right up to the action. They can enjoy it. And it's just more exciting. And in addition to that, we definitely want to create something with a different cultural background. We're a lot about respect, and everything we do kind of goes into that look and feel. It's sort of a classier environment where it's still exciting, but the respect between everyone.
Yeah, as a fighter, sorry if I interrupt you, but I don't know if you saw after the weigh-ins, the stare-downs, they gathered all the fighters up on stage and they did like a full, full picture of everyone, the blue fighters and the red fighters. I mean, could you do that with on an MMA event, or you can't do that because people would start. This is as a fighter that is working with them and got to know them. I feel that for me this is like he said. It's all about respect. It's all about I remember my last fight last year. After the fight, I went to have lunch with Alberto. Me and my coach went to have lunch in the restaurant with him and his coach. Yeah. And I'm not saying it can't happen in other sports. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this is how I feel karate combat is overall. People are nice. People show respect. It's all about the journey as a martial artist, and that's why we fight as martial artists, as fighters. But we also know where everyone comes from. We know how much work we put in, the training, for taking black belt. Only that is something that I need to respect anyone, even if I'm not fighting him, or if I'm fighting him, I respect someone that made that journey.
Well, it does something else too. It puts a lot more emphasis on the fight instead of the show. Instead of in order for me to be successful, I have to be I can't cuss on it. But there's a lot of fighters that are making their entire career off of their personalities, even if they're crappy fighters. I'm sure they could all beat me up, but at the end of the day, I think that the eyeball should be on the fight. I don't think the eyeball should be on the sideshow of who threw
the promotion side.
Who's doing what drug, who got in trouble with what cop. I mean, watch the fight. That's what we came to see. I want to see somebody get beat up. That's me.
To your point about respect, I think that's why it's a really good fit with the HBAR Foundation and Hedera, because the reason why I came into that space is because the professionalism that they exuded, and I think that's exactly what we see here with that culture of respect.
Yeah, in my point of view, that's the thing. Why I really love the organization, the fighters. I'm not fighting now. I'm a guest, but everyone is. Even if they're fighting, I'm not. They're not. I feel close with everyone. Everyone is nice to me. I'm nice to them. They are nervous for their fights. Obviously, they need to cut weight earlier in the week. But everyone takes the time to just, take a second to say hi, talk a little bit, and all that. So
there's one thing in here that I absolutely love that you guys do is if it's a draw, just do another round. I love it. It's my favorite thing. It's there's no will. I feel like I got robbed. No. Get it back in there. Do it again. Because who was it? It was, who was it? There was a fight last time I was here, and I can't remember the name. But I remember both guys just trying to crawl up the wall as tired as they were. And it was dead even. And they were one more round, and both guys, they weren't upset about it. It was almost like a relief. I know by the time we leave here, we will know who won. And I think that that's something that every sport should do. It should never be well, I guess someone won, kind of. No, man, get back in there, do it again. That's dope.
All right, guys, well, let's carry on here. We'll show you some of our production stuff and how we make this happen. So everyone, this is how the magic happens. We call this the Matrix. It's the largest LED volume in Florida. We have almost 1,000 LEDs, all chain linked. They're the highest quality. And the camera that you're seeing is actually shooting into the LED. So it's called virtual production. It's the same way they did the Mandalorian. So it allows the audience to also see the virtual background rather than a green screen where you'd insert it real time or later on.
Whose idea was this?
So to accomplish this karate combat, we actually had to start our own production company, move to Budapest, and do this in a different form. We used to use a green screen, and we used to use movie technology. Unreal Engine, as it got cut up, we're actually doing this one on Unreal 5, I believe. As Unreal Engine caught up, we could do it real time with their graphics package, which allows a lot more sophistication and allows us to render it live much more easily. So once we had the experience doing the show in Budapest in sort of more cinematic VFX fashion, when we moved to Orlando and we went live, we changed over and now we're using the setup.
That's cool.
All right, guys, we'll go out here and we'll check out the truck real quick. Right?
It feels like a Mission Impossible movie in here.
Sean's going to give you guys a tour of the truck so you can see how the magic happens live.
Sure. So this is production. This is where our directors, TDs, graphics, everyone that really run and drive the show, all the producers, Christian, our executive producer, is in here. And this is where we can see all the cameras, see all the replay angles, see all the graphics, everything that we have in the truck that works cohesion melds together in this room. And the technicians in here are the ones like at the production switcher with all the buttons are actually cutting cameras, physically pressing the buttons, entering, physically pressing everything that you see that goes on air. So whether it's replays or graphics or scoring or anything that you have, it all is a manual button that has to be pressed, and the whole team is working. There's about 15 people all talking simultaneously together to make that happen. So it's kind of a dance that everybody does. So this is kind of where the magic happens. In that room back there is where replay happens. So all your slow-mo replays like you see in football or anything like that. So if someone gets knocked out in a fight, you know, they're going down, that's where we can back that up, replay it at a slow speed and get those real nice slow-mo angles. In the room back behind there is all of our engineering rooms. So it's just gear. If you know what just big gear rooms
look like. So like plugs.
Yeah. You ever have
somebody just mess with you and just pull like one?
If they really don't like you and want you to have a bad day, yes, you can do that. And then in that back far room is audio, and you'll see the big audio console, and that's where we mix everything. We have all the comms, we talk to our announcers, where all of those come in and get mixed together for one live air.
So everything that you mentioned, the audio here, that is happening live as well as the event runs. Oh,
yes. Yeah, so imagine everybody in here that's basically, if you were like, we kind of make the equation to the switch here, if you're typing a book live and you cannot mess up, don't misspell.
That's what I thought. Maybe what happens if someone is out of sync or not listening, not focused. I mean, that would be
no pressure.
Yeah. And so we're all freelancers, right? So you're only as good as your last show. So you're only as you got to be perfect every single time.
Sure.
And so that's the pressure of live broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it takes all that, and then all the cameras that are out there and all the gear. So if you look, when you guys leave out of the back of this truck, there's a looks like a little mini tent on the back of the truck. Stick your head back there and you'll see all of our integrated wires. So all of that has to go into the house and integrate with cameras, comms, mics, everything that's in the house. And to make all that technically work takes a lot of really skilled technicians and a lot of really good troubleshooting, because we do it all from scratch, right? 3 days ago, this was just an empty lot. So all that has to be built and faxed and make sure that it works in just a couple days. So it's a big lift.
And you guys were in a different building before too.
Yes.
Like last time I was here. So how long did it take? You said 3 days total?
Yeah, so we had about 5 days to do construction of the set, to get the lighting grid up, to get all of that has to be focused and just perfect, and to make all of that happen simultaneously. This show it's a big lift. So at any given time, you had 80 people in there going around in forklifts and scissor lifts and people doing construction and cutting wood and building cameras, running cables, cleaning fiber. So you had like really brute grunt work going on along real technical finesse work, and trying to make all that happen was definitely the biggest challenge of the show. But once it's all up and running, then we get to sit back and make art at that point and try to cover the show the best that we possibly can in a live environment.
Oh, wow. Somebody way smarter than me is able to do that.
All right, guys. Well, that concludes our tour. If you want to come back, you're going to have to buy a ticket. So look forward to seeing everyone here. Our next show is December 17th here in Universal Studios Orlando. Look forward to seeing you guys there.
Thank you so much. See you.
Today, Karate Combat is announcing the largest fan giveaway in the history of sports. We're not giving away tickets or t-shirts, and we're never giving away the pick. This December, Karate Combat is giving away the keys to the actual league. We've been working for years to build a platform that gives our fighters and our fans control of Karate Combat. A league controlled by the locker room and the living room, not the boardroom. To do this, Karate Combat is issuing its own karate token. And over time, the league will give away half of them for free to our athletes and fans.
All the fans get these Karate Combat tokens, and they can actually influence the league. If they place their tokens on the fighter they think is going to win, and they win, they get more tokens. If not, they have to try again next time.
This isn't a monkey pick or a dog pound. We're talking real transparency and control. And there's more. With our mobile app, you can boost your favorite fighters' bonus pools. And when they win, you win. Pick a winning fighter and earn more tokens, all without ever risking your stake. Don't forget to let us know where to send your tokens, Senpai. Itchy go, itchy eat.